I would have my hot sauces in little cups in the front, and then people could dip their own chip or spoon into, each one. And this one day I was talking to this lady about sauces for her husband, and like her 3 or 4-year-old girl was on the side, and she said salsa and stuck her finger in one of my hottest sauces and then tried it, and she was like screaming and on fire, and I'm like, oh crap.
That ended up being a good experience.
Welcome to Flavor Balance Heat, the podcast for hot sauce lovers and makers.
I'm Spike.
And I'm Zac.
Today we're talking to Julie Singer of Julz Creations. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
Good. We don't usually do a morning podcast. This is a morning podcast, so this is kind of fun.
Spike's still kind of sleepy. You can hear it in his voice.
I am still kind of sleepy. Plus, I've had a little throat thing. All right. First of all, how'd you get into hot, spicy foods?
Well, that's kind of funny. I grew up in Indiana, very, very rural area where it's meat and potatoes and black pepper is too spicy. So I didn't have anything spicy at all growing up. It wasn't until I went and would visit my sister in LA, and she would take me to like Thai restaurants and Mongolian barbecue and other places that I actually got to enjoy some flavors. And it wasn't really until I got to undergrad that I was able to go on my own and I try all different kinds of cuisines. So to put it in perspective, Taco Bell was too crazy for my parents. Like that was like, whoa, like too spicy. And so, but when I got to undergrad, I started trying more and more things, and I started enjoying things that were a little spicy, not, insane at all, but very, very tiny amount of spice. And I kind of built up my tolerance up and up and up. And I started enjoying hot sauces on some of my foods. And yeah, so that was kind of a later in life approach, but I actually got to the point where, and it's happened a couple times to me now, I ate something that took it too far and I completely killed my taste buds to the point where I couldn't eat anything with any spice at all. It just was pain in my mouth. It was awful. Like I would order chili from a regular restaurant and it would be too spicy for me. And I'd be like, oh my God, what happened? But it took me about a good 8-9 months to be able to eat anything at all spicy again until I built up my tolerance again. But as a result, there are certain hot things I just don't eat anymore, including my own hot sauces past a certain point. And my husband's in the same boat now. He used to taste test every one of my sauces, but now the super hots, he's like, no, I'm good. So
yeah, I don't eat anything really super spicy unless I'm testing. I eat mostly mild and medium sauces on a regular basis. I'll eat the spicier stuff just when I'm testing a sauce. That's it. And it'll lay me out.
Seems to be a common theme within the hot sauce community. People, come in balls blazing and want the hottest thing in the world. And then as they get older, like, I need to tone that down.
Yeah, absolutely. So now how did you make the jump from eating spicier foods to getting into the hot sauce business?
So for years and years, I've had a garden in my backyard and primarily used to grow tomatoes and things like that. And one year I planted some hot pepper plants and suddenly I had pounds of peppers coming in. And I used to do canning at home, preserves and pickles and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm looking for some canning recipes that use hot peppers. Well, they would use one hot pepper in an entire batch of jam. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. I've got this whole pile here. So I started making hot sauce, changing up couple different recipes. And then I send them out to friends and family for Christmas. And of course, you get the whole, oh, you should make this commercially, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But at the time, I had a real job. And even just dipping my foot into the regulations required, I was like, ugh, no, thank you. And I'm just make this for friends, whatever. And it got to the point where people were enjoying it more and more. And suddenly I didn't have a real job anymore. And I was like, well, maybe I can make the plunge. And my husband was fully supportive of me. Okay, here's all the things you need to do. I'm behind you all the way. Go ahead and get all this stuff done to get on the up and up. And so it took me a while. I'm sure you guys are well aware of all the crazy things you have to do and get set up and regulations and all that stuff. So
I will say, it seems like North Carolina is a little more stringent than like where Spike and I live, as far as what you have to go through. Because I kind of remember you telling me you have to like boil your bottles.
You don't have to boil your bottles, but one thing that I always will struggle with is once you have your hot sauce your hot sauce has to be above 180 into your bottle. You then are supposed to take the temperature of the hot sauce in the bottle, and it has to be still at least 180. Well, if you start with cold bottles, from the box, it's going to be a lot harder to reach that, right? But if your empty bottles have already been boiling on their own, and then you add super hot sauce to those boiling hot bottles, then hypothetically, you're going to get back to that safe zone there. So I boil my bottles just so they're, sanitary or whatever, but also to make sure that the internal temperature stays. So I have to pick up my boiling hot sauce bottles with a barbecue glove because otherwise I'd burn my hand off. So.
Oh my goodness. All right.
So I bring the contents of the kettle up to 200 degrees and I bottle. It hits the bottle at above 190, and then by the time I put the cap on and whatnot, invert. Yeah, we're still at the safe zone there.
Every state is different. I guess in California you have to have a cannery license or something. And
yep. That's so if you're like a co-packing facility, you have to have 2 licenses, and I can get that. One of them is a cannery license, and the other is called.
Tim said it the last week.
Yeah,
Tim Pullman a couple weeks ago.
Here we go. It is called a PFR license.
I don't know if North Carolina is more strict than other places. I think other places are even more of a stickler, but it is what it is. It's definitely not lenient.
Yeah, California is definitely probably one of the strictest in the country. You have to get every single batch of sauce released by the state. It's like a whole thing.
So I noticed that your dogs play a major part of your sauces. First of all, how many dogs do you have?
Currently, I have 2. I have 2 rescue Yorkies. Their names are Princess Leia Organa and Lando Calrissian. However, their nicknames appear on the hot sauce bottles. I don't know if you guys have dogs, if you gradually contort their names into all these other different crazy names, and it ends up somewhere that's completely unrelated to their initial name.
Yeah.
One of Lando's nicknames is Mr. Moo. I don't know how, but it's Mr. Moo. So for him, it's Mr. Moo's Awesome Sauce. And then Princess Leia, we call her Little Miss because she's very petite and tiny. And we're like, oh, Little Miss, what are you doing? And that turned into Little Mystical, saying, oh, she's got this fake rap background and she's Little Mystical now. Anyway, and so she has her own label, and that's the one that actually won me a SCOVY. I was very excited. It's my only fruit-based hot sauce. And then I have a mustard that I make that is named after my late dog, and his name was Joseph Blue Pulaski. And so, you're my boy Blue from old school. So that became that one.
Yeah.
And then I have a big fat cat that I got from the local shelter that we named Ron Burgundy. And we're always saying, he's so fat and corporate, corporate fat cat. And so that became my label for my Jardinera. So
that's fantastic. I love it.
Without throwing anyone under the bus, what's the worst hot sauce you've ever had? Or you can throw someone under the bus.
Yeah, we're good with that too.
So I guess it wasn't a sauce exactly, but this is a horrible memory. A friend of mine really likes to bring the pain to the extreme. When we go eat Szechuan food, he eats the chili peppers that you're not supposed to eat. He's that kind of crazy. So he had bought this super concentrated extract paste in a little tiny jar. And he took a toothpick and he just put a toothpick in and let me try it on my tongue. And it was the most absolutely worst decision I've ever made in my life, with the exception maybe of trying Malort, that horrible liquor from Chicago. It was just straight pain. There was no flavor. It was just anger in my mouth. And that was one of the times that I completely killed any taste buds I had, and I couldn't eat anything spicy for a long time. So I do not recommend ever doing that. Other hot sauces, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't pick a particular one, but in general, I really don't like hot sauces that are super, super runny and all vinegar.
Yeah.
I just feel like if there's no other flavor, then, I don't want to just drink vinegar. So.
Right. Vinegar and salt, maybe a little garlic.
Yeah. That's a trend on our show.
Yeah.
Nobody likes it.
the other side of that question, do you have a hot sauce that you don't create that you use on a regular basis?
So much maligned in the world, but whenever I eat Asian food, I put sriracha on it, which, blah, blah, kishle or whatever. But it's really good for adding to pho. So I have that. My other one, which I actually brought up here, which is probably a standard for
yeah.
in every grocery store ever, the neon green. I call this my gateway drug because back when I didn't eat anything spicy at all, I would put a little tiny bit of this on my plate and then like dip my burrito into it. And it was spicy, but not crazy at all. And so this was really what got me into, hey, I can actually enjoy a little bit of spice. And then I moved up from there.
That sauce has influenced me so much. I love that sauce. And do you know the history behind that? Zach, do you know about the lead?
No.
So they were nailed for having lead in their water a few years ago. And miraculously, a couple days later, they went back to test and there was no lead in the water. So I still eat it, but I'm pretty sure there's lead in it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the black one. The one that no one likes was my gateway.
Really? You like the black one? I hate that.
Back in the day, I did. I don't know now. Like, I haven't had it in 7 years. So,
oh, yeah.
Probably
I wouldn't mind trying it again. I had tried it early on when I was trying a whole lot of sauces to try and figure out what direction I wanted to go in. And I just did not like it from the get-go. But, I mean, I'd probably try it again just to see if I did.
Yeah, it was the black El Yucata. Oh, I can't even say the name. And some Marie Sharps. That's what got me going.
Oh yeah, Marie Sharps are the only other company that I know of that makes a grapefruit besides us, and people love their grapefruit. So, do you have a culinary background? Because there's a lot of cooking involved in. Like, it's not just you making sauces. It seems like there's a lot more going on there.
So yes, I mean, not professionally trained or anything, but my husband and I are big foodies. We love to eat. We love to try things. We like to make things from scratch. You really shouldn't make from scratch. We made bacon. We made mozzarella. We made paneer. He made a very elaborate ramen completely from scratch one time, which was a 2-day affair. We made Julia Child's beef bourguignon, which is a 2-day affair. Like, we like to really, get at the root of recipes and just go crazy.
I've made that beef bourguignon. It's really good, but
next time I'm in North Carolina, I'm coming over.
There's too many steps, though. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the first time I made it, I oversalted it, and it was just crushing.
Oh man, that sucks. But so we've been into that kind of stuff, trying all these different recipes, and then when we would travel abroad, we would try stuff over in Europe and then bring back a couple recipes from that. And so, from a home cook standpoint, I guess we're pretty advanced. And so, and then I got started canning at home, all different kinds of things. And so I already have that kind of background. So as a complete other aside, before I got into this business, I did applied criminal justice research. And so that is, all about methodical data collection, creating objective coding and anyway, but it's a very time intensive, precise kind of thing. And so when it came time to do my record keeping when I make sauces or following certain parameters of everything, I already had that kind of you have to record this like this, and I already had that background. So
that's fantastic. So is that your your day job, or do you
No.
Or do you do the hot sauce all the time?
It was my day job. And basically it's kind of a typical story of being disillusioned.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
World, I guess. I got my PhD, and my idea was to go into criminal justice agencies and provide an outside process and outcome evaluation of the way they might be running their programs in order to say, hey, this stuff you're doing is working, this stuff isn't, and maybe you switch this up and try again, only to improve the system, because crazy thought, you want people to get better and not reoffend. And I stupidly thought that they would listen to someone like me with a PhD, and guess what? No. State government, there's just a lot of politics. That's a lot about, well, we've always done it this way, so let's keep doing it this way. And
Well,
Or
prison
even
is a big money situation, especially not a lot of them are privatized. Like it's just
Mhm.
money, and they don't want people to get better because if people get better, then they don't have money.
But at the same time, the federal government has put down specific guidelines and mandates of how you have to show improvement in this, you have to be providing services for this, and you have to document that. And so the federal government said, hey, you should be doing it this way, but the states are like, eh. And they can actually miss out on federal grant money if they don't do these things, and yet they're still not doing these things. Anyway, I was in several different roles. So I started at the university doing research, and then I was at a private research firm here in Durham, and then I actually went to state government itself. And like, well, if I work in state government, they'll listen to me. Nope. So it was this whole big bitter disillusionment, and quit my job basically.
For a hot sauce. I love it.
Yeah.
All of us, every single one of us.
Yeah.
The money's not great, but it's better than the corporate shit show.
And
Yeah.
I'm so much more satisfied. Yeah.
Painting houses for somebody, or doing construction in 118-degree weather. I'm just nope.
Imagine spending 10 years of your life and getting 3 degrees, only to be told by someone who has no idea what evaluation is that what you're doing isn't important. Yeah. I'm done with that. So
Yeah.
It is what it is. So now I like being my own boss. I like being able to set my own schedule.
Yeah.
I could do events or not do events. So
the hot sauce industry is, I mean, as with many things, is kind of not just a kind of male dominated industry in general, but also a super macho kind of, have you run into any issues? Yeah, I imagine you have. And then also on top of that, what do you, how have you overcome that stuff?
Even though the name of the company is Julz, clearly I'm a girl, clearly the logo is girly. The easiest way I can tell people are still biased is if my husband be standing next to me at events, they automatically ask him, oh, what's in this sauce? Well, how did you make this sauce? Or what's in this? And he'd be like, it's all her. Like, I'm just here to like carry stuff, like, talk to her. And like people like automatically just like zone in on him. And I'm like, dude, like I'm right here. Doesn't happen if he's not with me at events. But that was the most clear way I can see that there's still some bias there. Something that is kind of fun for me and I heard this from someone who sells my hot sauces in Colorado, is people will see my label, my cute little logo, and be like, oh, this is going to be a sweet little sauce. It's not going to have any heat. And then they try it and like, holy crap, And so that's a little bit of amusement for me too. Like, no, this it really means business. It really is hot. So don't be fooled by that. And shame on you if you are, basically.
Yeah. Do you find do you get more women buying from you because of your?
No,
we do. We actually have more women that buy from us than men.
No. Primarily like all of my online sales is pretty much all guys buying. In-person events, most of the time, if a woman's buying a sauce, it's for someone in their life that likes spicy. And because they're like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and buy this one. And I'm like, oh, do you want to sample it first? And she's like, oh, God, no. Like, I can't handle this. This is for my husband. This is for my cousin. It's always something like that. I will run into a rare woman who can take the heat and she's fine with it and she wants the hottest stuff, but it's mostly been dudes.
Interesting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is your most hated question while doing an event? I have a couple myself.
I have a couple. One, is this hot sauce? Your what? That says hot sauce. These are hot sauce shaped bottles. What else do you think that's one. Another one, have you ever heard of that show on YouTube about hot celebrities eating hot sauce? And I'm like, no, I've never heard of that. Wow. Like, why would you ask me that? Of course I freaking heard of it. Like, anyway, that really gets to me.
Yeah. That's one of my most hated questions. And then when someone comes to the booth trying to buy sauce for someone else, they're like, well, what do you recommend? And I'm always like, I don't know. What do they like? Well, they eat Tabasco and they eat a bunch of Cholula. And I'm like, there's nothing on this table that would even begin to resemble that.
I've had that exact same conversation so many times.
Yeah.
Because they'll come up and they're like, oh, they like spicy. And I'm like, okay, well, what's their spice level? Because I something crazy mild, I can give you something that'll burn their face off. you got to be more specific. And then they'll say, oh, they really love Tabasco. And I'm like, well, I can't really help you.
My most hated question is, what's the hottest thing you got? If that's all you're concerned with, then I hate that so much.
Yep. I have people who are like, oh, I really want to try your hot sauces. And then they automatically want to sample the hottest one first. And I'm like, are you sure? Because if you taste this, you're not going to be able to taste these other ones back here.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can convince them to try something lower in build, other times not. Sometimes they feel like they're putting me out if they want to sample like 4 or 5 sauces. And I'm like, that's why I'm here. That's why I have sample bottles. Like, yes, please sample 5 of them. I don't care. Like,
just walk the entire line. Like,
yeah.
That's why I drug all of this stuff out here.
Exactly.
To provide samples for you and everybody else that wants them,
Exactly.
For our farmers market, we got I don't have them here, but the little square like terminal, and our employees, I said, okay, so here's what I would like to do is we don't need this. We can use the little strips for square, but there's an option for tips on there. And so I'm going to put it on there. And if people tip you, then that's great. But would you be okay if we paid it off first and then everything's yours? And so we did, and they make a good fair amount of extra money because we'll sample 10, 12 sauces and people see it as a show and they'll actually tip for the show. So it's like great. And our employees get to make extra money that way. I mean, we've already paid well, but it's really nice to have that extra little amount for them,
Yeah, California Hot Sauce Solutions does that when they do an event. I always felt kind of weird, like asking for more money after they just made a purchase.
Well, I always just say, well, you can get a print, because it is nice that they can get a printout right there. I'm like, you can get a printout if you'd like. And there's some other questions. I try not to push that, but people feel grateful for the show. I mean, they've gone through several sauces. It's, they are really grateful that they've had that time. So they do it.
Yeah, but you are a showman when it comes to you dress up in the red velvet suit with the top hat, and it's like a show when you go to Spike's booth. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, you're still talking about your sauces. You're excited about your sauces, and that's a show to them as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't have employees, and I don't have the tip option in Square. I don't have it checked, so.
Yeah.
But I have had people that would give me a certain amount for a sauce, and I'm like, well, no, it only costs this, and they're like, no, you really should be charging this. Here, take it. They give me
that's
more.
Nice.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, like you really should raise your prices. I hear that sometimes.
Man, that's another thing I battle with too, like prices. I'm like, okay. So I do a lot of Googling of other sauce companies and seeing where their price points are at. And I'll come across a company and they have minimal ingredient lists and their products are pretty runny and they want like $15 a bottle. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, I should be charging like 18 because our products aren't runny. And you know what I mean? But I don't know. I can't do that. I'm not that guy.
Well, I started being that guy when my local source for Dragon's Breath peppers dried up, meaning the guy who was growing them just decided not to grow them the next year, and I needed to find a new source. And my source ended up being a guy down in Florida, so I only buy like 2 pounds of Dragon's Breath peppers from him at a time.
And it probably like $50 a pound.
And then I have to pay for the shipping and so it got to the point where it used to be like I was getting, pounds and pounds of these for $8 a pound. And suddenly it's, costing me a lot more to get any of them. And so I was like, well, I'm going to have to raise the price of this one. If no one buys it now, then, oh, well, I won't sell it anymore. So I raised the price to $16 and people buy it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like my number one seller on my website. People spend the $16 and they'll spend another 10 for shipping. And I get repeat orders. I've had people order 6 bottles at a time from California. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy, but okay,
Yeah, we did a line of sauces this last few months, where we kind of chefed it up and just really went the extra mile with everything. And for just the labor costs alone, and as you know, I guess you said you don't have employees, but you have your own labor, and that is the biggest cost. And so we took a look at the numbers, and I try not to look at other hot sauce companies as much as I can. I do a little bit, but I try to go mostly by our strict numbers because then it's less biased for me. And we ended up charging $20 a bottle for these, and I didn't think anybody would buy them. And they're one batch a year, and people have, and I'm glad, because that means that I can do sauces where I'm, doing more and feeling more proud about them.
What in the hot sauce industry drives me crazy?
One thing that drives me crazy is, well, there's a couple things. One, it's where you see a label and there's all these warnings all over, like, oh my god, the hottest thing you'll ever eat, the atomic level, and then you try it and it's like jalapenos or something, and you're like, what? Meanwhile, I named a sauce the Corpse Reviver, and it has a zombie on the label, and people try it and they're like, oh my god, this is so spicy, and I'm like, well, I kind of warned you. It's called the Corpse Reviver. Like, I'm not calling it happiness and sunshine. Like, something else that kind of bugs me more about consumers, I guess, is people who will be like, well, I don't like any sauces with vinegar in them, so
right.
So I really like it when they have acetic acid, and I'm like, vinegar is 1% of acetic acid. Like, it's the same thing. This has vinegar in it, you're just not tasting it. And that, I don't know why that bugs me so much, but it does. Something else is people who still think that the ghost pepper is the hottest pepper on the planet and will try to fight me on it. And so I actually got 2 different Scoville scales that show all of the peppers, where I can say, no, actually it's down here and these other ones are up here. And then they're like, oh, like, because it was the hottest pepper, 10 years ago, 15, so something else that kind of bugs me about people in general is whenever a major, like Burger King or McDonald's will come out with their spicy chicken sandwich and people try it and they're like, well, this isn't spicy. It's like, well, of course it isn't spicy. It's medium spicy for people who don't like spice. Like, you're not going to be impressed with whatever they're doing at this, mass level. Like, of course not.
I will tell you, Wendy's did a ghost pepper chicken sandwich, and that had legit a decent amount of heat. It wasn't like I wasn't sweating or anything, but I could definitely feel it, and it was pretty tasty. And I don't do fast food, so I feel like that's kind of saying a lot. But I agree, the Burger King or chicken fries or whatever. Oh, these aren't spicy. Well, they're coming from Burger King. What do you expect?
They got to be careful for legal reasons. They can't have things that are too spicy because they get sued left and right. So
yeah.
Some mom gets her 4-year-old the ghost pepper chicken fry. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a whole thing.
That brought back a memory, actually. Before COVID, I would have my hot sauces in little cups in the front, and then people could dip their own chip or spoon into each one. And this one day I was talking to this lady about sauces for her husband, and like her 3 or 4-year-old girl was on the side, and she said salsa and stuck her finger in one of my hottest sauces and then tried it, and she was like screaming and on fire, and I'm like, oh crap. But the wife was actually like, oh, I'm so sorry, it's my fault, I should have been watching her. But that gave me
ended up being a good experience.
I've had a couple of kids that have wanted to try it, and their parents are like, sure. And then I feel awful when their kids crying. Hey
man, I get kids. I don't do a lot of events, but when I do, I get kids come up like, "Who would try your hottest thing?" I'm like, "You need to go get a parent, and preferably your mother, because your father is just going to let you do it to teach you a lesson. So bring your mom back, and if your mom says it's okay, then I'll let you sample it."
I had this one kid who was maybe 9 who kept coming up on his own saying, I really want to try your Reaper sauce. And I'm like, please go find a parent, come back with them, and then I'll have you try it. And he's like, okay. And then you come back, be alone again, and be like, I really want to try it. And I'm like, no, please bring an adult. And so he finally brought, which I guess was his much older brother. And I asked the older brother, I'm like, okay, is it cool if he tries this? And he's like, yeah, he likes spicy things. And I was like, okay. So I had him try it, and he's like, that's not that hot.
Nice.
Sauce, which makes grown men like run into the bathroom to get water. Like, I was like, okay, that's So
I
you never
like
know.
when those guys that I was talking about, what's the hottest thing you got? And they're acting all macho, and I'll fill a chip with a lot of sauce and then hand it to them. And they, like, you see their face turn beet red, and they are like, shuffling away real quick.
I like it when they get immediate hiccups.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get that. When I eat really hot, I get hiccups immediately.
Speaking of really hot, you should stay away from this year's limited release set, Spike. It's
Sounds good. I probably
like you have zero interest in anything that's going to be in these bottles.
I think ghost pepper is as high as I like to go. Anything above that, it just seems like it's more of a challenge than anything else, and I don't like making my food a challenge.
Yeah, I like to hurt people for charity, man.
Well, I mean, I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's, it's just a different thing than what I do, but I understand what it is. It's not like, oh, you're a bad person for doing that. No, it's
No, I
a
know
different
that.
thing.
Well, I know sometimes you will purchase a set just to help support the cause, but like legit, there's nothing in this box set that you will be able to eat. So
yeah, see, people sometimes ask me, what's my favorite sauce that I make? And if I haven't made it in a while and I actually don't have any samples, I say, well, I don't have it here, but my husband really likes this one, and it's one of my habanero level. But really, my favorite sauce that I make is my most mild sauce, because I can pour all over everything. It's not going to bring me pain. So that guy too. So it's a charred poblano sauce. So you can see it's brown.
Is that from the char?
Yeah.
Nice.
I also use dried ancho chilies, which is the dried version of poblano, so that also makes it darker. But it's got the smallest amount of heat, some vinegar, and I just like dump it on things. And so sometimes I feel bad, like, hey, I make all these crazy hot sauces, but my favorite one is this wimp right here. But
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I make some stupid hot stuff too, but I prefer,
we came out with lemon pepper habanero, and I was eating it like crazy. I love it, but genuinely, we made a Serrano version, and I've been eating that on everything. I've gone through bottle after bottle.
My new thing now, well, not new, but newer thing now, especially after all my experiences killing my taste buds, is Szechuan food. Because if you get good Szechuan food that has all the Szechuan peppercorns, it's spicy, but then it's numbing. And because it's numbing, it lets you eat spicier things. And so that's like my new endorphin rush thing now, is like I can still enjoy spicy because my tongue is numb first. But it's so good.
I personally don't care for Szechuan peppercorns. I'm pretty sure. Like I made some chili oil with him, and I just every time I eat one of those, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I like the flavor.
I didn't like it at the very first, but it grows on you very quickly. And we eat Szechuan a lot now. But
yeah, I like Szechuan a lot. We've talked about this, Zach, about using the Szechuan.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still use them. I'm not a fan of them.
Zach and I are talking about doing $100 hot sauce where the processes and the ingredients, it's not just we're just charging $100, but we want to use processes and ingredients that equate to a sauce that's that much. And,
well, really, it'll be 2 sauces.
Oh yeah. That's what. Yeah. So we're talking about making it 2. I like the idea of the Szechuan peppercorns. I think that's really good.
Do you have a favorite pepper?
I would say the scorpion pepper and all of its variants, just because there's so many different strains that have been mutated and everything, but there's just so many, and they're completely wildly different colors, completely wildly different flavor profiles. It's kind of like that with habanero now too. I didn't realize at first how many kinds of habaneros there were, and they're completely different. They taste completely different, and so to me that makes it really fun. Like I have 5 or 6 scorpion sauces, but they're all completely different because it's all different scorpion peppers, and so I think that's really cool.
Nice.
We use scorpion a lot. And I don't want to say I'm a fan of the flavor, but I don't hate it. I like what it does. I like that latent heat that it has. It comes in at the end so hard that I can use it. But when it comes in at the end like that, you can do more things because you know the timing of it. And because of that, the flavor's okay. But what it does is what I like about it most.
I don't know. I find the scorpion bitter. Well, let me back that up. I find the Moruga bitter and kind of gross.
I agree, but I think that just because something's bitter doesn't mean it can't be used. You just have to utilize its bitter elements in a way that it works. I agree with you though that but so I just have to make sure that I'm accommodating for that and making it work for me rather than against me. Otherwise, I really do like it. So what is your approach to labels?
Actually, here, 1 second. Come here.
I
Okay.
gotta get some animal cuteness.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's the approach to labels.
So
which
this
one's
is
this
Lando.
one?
This is Lando. This is Mr. Moo. So my approach to labels is that I really don't have an approach. I just kind of I'll make a sauce and I'll make something up, which is kind of a boring answer, I guess. But my basic approach has been I have a cute animal. I have silly names for my cute animals. I'll go with that. Or there are certain silly movies that we watch over and over again. And we quote from these silly movies, and so I'll put that as my label. So my poblano sauce is the Black Lung Pop. It's from Zoolander. He works down in the mines for one day, and he's like, I think I've got the Black Lung Pop. So stuff like that. So, again, silly. The only one I've been really boring with is my dragon's breath sauce. It's made with dragon's breath pepper, so I'm like, oh, it's my dragon's breath sauce. But usually I try to be more creative.
Yeah, I mean, we all, if it's sometimes if I can make a pun, then that's fun, But otherwise, sometimes you just have to say what the sauce is.
How often do people pick up on the little quotes on your labels? We're like, oh, I get it.
About a fourth of the time.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Yeah,
really old people and really young people, it's always like a whoosh. But certain subsets that are like, oh my god, I get it.
Do you do the art for your labels yourself, or do you have somebody else do it?
I have for all of my hot sauce labels. My approach really since the beginning has maybe kind of a naive approach. Has been I don't want people to focus too much on the label. I want them to be able to taste the sauce inside and think the sauce is awesome. And so to me, labels are often like, well, I have to have a label. So yeah. So, some of mine are, kind of generic. But when I started making my Chicago style jardinera, I knew I wanted that corporate fat cat image, but like an editorial cartoon about corporate fat cats in the executive world, except it's an actual cat in like a business suit who's all fat and like corrupt. And I knew I couldn't draw that. And there's no way I could find any of that. So I actually contacted a designer in England, and he designed my corporate fat cat for me for that label.
Oh, that's awesome. I like, first of all, I like the colors of your labels because they are different, and I also liked the labels themselves, so that's why I was curious. And I'm a label guy. I love labels. So
yeah, Spike gets crazy with his labels. Each label has a different artist design it, which I appreciate. I personally am, obviously into the simplistic, cleaner aspect of the labels, but I really like Spike's labels.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I actually had a store in Florida that I send them some of my sauces, and they have like 5 different criteria for whether they're going to carry the sauce, and one was label design, and they rejected mine because my labels were too simple. And I was like, okay, that's a weird thing.
It's not Ass Blaster 4000 and people blowing off a toilet and, gimmicky shit.
Yeah, that stuff.
Oh, I have a label design for the blown O-ring.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Never did anything with it just because it's not really the way I want to go.
Yeah, I remember that. Didn't you use one of our people? Yeah, Eric. Yeah. Eric just did the Queen of Pirates.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you ready for the question?
So I liked the revised version of the question.
Oh,
the question prior to this was that shit.
So tell us about, especially this is great because you like to cook. So tell us about what your last meal would be if you could, if it was your last meal, and what sauce you would put on it. It can't be one of yours, and it can't be one of ours.
Oh, let's see.
Basically, he's asking your death row meal, your final meal, and what sauce are you using?
Let's see. Well, I would say, can it be a multi-course meal so I can take more than one thing?
One sauce, though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is gonna sound lame, but for things like pho and even sometimes bumbo whey, I will just add something simple like sriracha. I'm much more into like chili oils and chili garlic and chili crisp and that to really add on.
And
So
those count.
That counts. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been served a supposedly super spicy soup before, and I'm like, well, can you bring me the soy sauce and the chili oil, and I just like dump it in, and they're like, oh, okay. That kind of thing. But probably my perfect last meal would be, I would start with a spicy yellow curry, Thai yellow curry, and I would move on to Bunbo Whey, and I would probably end with some Zhongjing chicken with like extra crisp on the side.
And you'd put chili oil on it in various places all the way through.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. I love that. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite answers so far. Do you have, so we kind of went over this with the, what makes you crazy in the hot sauce industry, but what are your hot sauce? And I think we're talking about sauces. What are your hot sauce hot takes? Like things that people love that you don't.
I think a big thing for me is extract sauces. Too often it's just all about the pain and there's no flavor. And I like, what's the point at that point, Or my other pet peeve is when someone will come out with a sauce and it's pretty expensive, and then and then you read the label and the first ingredient is tomato paste. Second ingredient is water. Third ingredient is vinegar.
Yeah.
Maybe 9 down is actually any kind of chilies. And then they're like, oh, this is super hot. Like, well, kind of, but not really. If water's your first, water or tomato paste is your first ingredient. And I do sometimes think I might be undervaluing mine because peppers are the biggest component by weight in all of my sauces. And so maybe I should be charging more because that is, above and beyond everything else that's in there. So I don't know. I have a very, I came into this industry completely ignorant to, good marketing and good approaches to how I should be presenting my stuff. I'm just kind of going blind. And so maybe my hot takes are just naive takes. I don't know.
Well, it sounds good to me. All of that.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I came into this blind too. Like I come from construction industry where I've worked for myself most of my life, and that was all word of mouth. So this whole marketing thing is new to me anyway.
I was a chef and it's not the same world.
I've had some very wacky requests or whatever for marketing that are pretty unorthodox, but I've always been like, sure. So I have two. First of all, I would say my website has Shopify and they have some built-in SEO, which apparently is magic, because when people will Google custom hot sauce gift box or custom sauce labels or something, mine comes up soon, really early in the search, which again, I'm a tiny company. I don't know how, but anyway, so the Pirelli Tire Company was working with an ad group out of California. And so the ad group guy contacted me and he's like, hey, Pirelli Tire wants to put out a special hot sauce gift box with their labeling in relation to their brand new tire they were coming out with that was supposed to be like, oh, super hot fire tire. I don't know, some kind of tire thing. And they're like, would you like to be the one to, like, we would use your sauces. We would provide you with a label, artwork and everything. And then you would make 200 hot sauce gift boxes. It would be our label on the front, but your stuff on the back, like your company name and all your ingredient, all the good stuff. And I said, sure, because I'm dumb and my company is me. And how can I come up? Turns out coming up with 200 gift boxes on your own is a huge pain in the ass. But I'm like, well, this is a really weird marketing approach for me. And it actually worked out because they had their customers reach out and say, hey, I really like those sauces in that gift box. And what, tell me more about them. And so a weird opportunity that came to me. Another one that just came through Instagram. So you guys have probably been following the League of Fire hot pepper eating contest, competitions everywhere. Well, they were saying like, oh, hey, we need a hot sauce maker sponsor for these different competitions. So the idea is the competitors will eat so many rounds of hot peppers and then they have to do a shot of your hot sauce. And then they continue eating more hot peppers. So it's kind of like a break in between. But the idea is they say, hey, this event is sponsored by such and such company. Here's their sauce. Here's the shot we're going to take of it. And I knew people who were doing the smaller ones like in Baltimore or out in California. And so when I contacted them, they're like, well, we need a sauce for our grand event in Prague. Would you be willing to send your sauce to that? And I'm like, okay. So basically they're like, well, one of the competitors is going to be in New Jersey after the Baltimore event visiting her sister. So you can send your hot sauces there and they can then take them to Prague. which is all crazy. And they're like, "What, it has to be done like overnight." And so I send them my hottest sauce, which is my Dragon's Breath, Priority Express, whatever. And it's on the way there. And then the guy comes back and he's like, "Oh, I'm so really, really sorry." One of the competitors, it's the Canadian guy who has the record for the most Carolina Reapers eaten and all that.
Yeah. Mike Jack.
They're like, "Oh, we're really sorry. We didn't realize to tell you he's vegan and your sauce contains honey." And I was like, "Oh, crap." So then I had to overnight my next hottest sauce that was vegan, which is my Corpse Reviver, to New Jersey, UPS this time. It got there in time. And during their live stream of the event, they had to do a shot of my hot sauce in between the rounds. Anyway, very random marketing. I don't know how much that bring me any business, but
We had our sauces in it was like a horror convention at one point. They asked for some sauces and they were doing a hot sauce challenge and they wanted a few of our sauces for that, which was kind of cool. I was like, all right, I don't care. I'll do it. It was in Texas.
Yeah, it's that whole saying yes to everything motto that you have.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, you're not missing an opportunity if you're always saying yes.
Well, I think my only time that I would say no is if it's just too expensive for me. So some of these really big expos, I would love to attend, but they're across the country and the booth fee is crazy to me. And so I'm not quite at that level that I can justify that yet. My husband says I should do it anyway, but I'm like, I'm still kind of operating very small, ultra small everything, and I kind of hesitate sometimes to go too big. But
conventions are a big thing.
Yeah. Should we just celebrate it, 5 years? And I'm going to my first expo next March or whatever. My first real expo. I mean, I've been to one, but
Which one are you going to?
Fiery Foods in Albuquerque.
Oh yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. All of these big ones are really far from North Carolina. So I'm always like, is it worth it for my small company to, pay the fee and get all my stuff out there?
We're in the same boat other than Portland, but we're in the same boat in the middle of Idaho. Well, how about hot sauce show and tell? So do you have a hot sauce you'd like to show us?
Actually, the one I showed earlier, my favorite sauce. I just made some more of this the other day, and my husband made chilaquiles and put this as the base with some salsa. So
Nice.
That's awesome. Sounds like a really good sauce. Was that on your site? I didn't even see it. I would have ordered that one. I'll order that one next. That's great. Do you have an everyday sauce that you eat that's not yours? It's hard because I eat mostly mine too.
Anymore, it would be like pepper, chili crisp, and stuff like that.
Chili crisp. Yeah.
Especially if there's Szechuan and mixed in, like the peppercorns. That's kind of my go-to nowadays.
All right, which one you got, Zach?
Don't hate me. This is all the way from Australia. Uncle Mungo's habanero ketchup.
Oh.
Not really a ketchup guy, so this should be interesting. Smells like ketchup. Oh my god, look at that. It ain't coming out the bottle.
Oh man.
Tastes like ketchup.
Is it hot at all?
It's got a little burn. I mean, it's not like over the top.
A lot of ketchups have clove in it. Ours has clove in it.
Wow. Australian ingredient lists are weird. Tomato paste, glucose, vinegar, sugar, habaneros. Yeah. Just the way their whole nutrition panel is just weird. It's different. I won't say weird. It's different.
I brought Frog's Point Honey makes a couple of hot sauces, and so I brought their new Sweet Vesuvius.
I hear good things about that.
Yeah.
I've been disappointed by people's opinions before.
It smells good. Oh, it smells really good. It's a delicious sauce. Little smokiness to it. Fermented Savina habaneros and brine. Apple cider vinegar, honey, roasted garlic, squash, carrots, basil, cumin I'm tasting, black pepper, sage, rosemary, and salt. It's a delicious sauce. Really
Wow.
good. I'd have to think about what I'd put it. Oop, there's my hiccups. I have to think about what I'd put it on.
I'm always hesitant to use apple cider vinegar because it can impart its own unique flavor maybe too much sometimes, but I guess in some sauces it works better.
Yeah, especially so I've noticed too with apple cider vinegar, it depends on the brand because some brands are like more pungent than others. We do a lot of mixing, a lot of like mostly distilled with some apple cider, you know what I mean? Like a blend because of that fact.
That's what I do. Unless it's like our green apple curry, which we went full apple. Have you had that one, Zach?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's full apple. It's like apple in your face. Sorry. Got the back in my throat. That's going to clear up that throat thing I've had going on. So do you have any questions for us?
I guess as makers, what are the things that bug you about the industry, or what do you think might change about the industry in the future, like near future?
I mean, how much time you got? I mean, okay, so one of my pet peeves is these homemakers that are knowingly illegally bottling sauce and have websites and selling it over state lines and have zero intentions of going through the channels of becoming legal. You know what I mean? That shit drives me batshit crazy. You know, we all got to start from somewhere, but it's the people that have zero fucking intention of actually making it a legitimate business who sell illegally bottled product to the general public. That is probably my number one.
Sometimes, do you think they're doing it intentionally, or sometimes, because I've in local markets around here, I've had people that try to present as though they're canning it commercially, but then they're still using the 2-part lids for home canning, and there's never any indication that they use a commercial kitchen. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, is it ignorance, or, you know, is it more like, whatever, I'm gonna do what I want kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm specifically basing my comment on the people who openly say that I know what I'm doing and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. I've come across people like, because if I see somebody on, like the guy that reached out to Zac, if I see somebody, I'll reach out and say, hey, you know, there's some things you need to know. And oftentimes they're really open and they'll ask, but as soon as they find out that, oh, I need to, you know, do a better food handling class. That's like the big sticking point for people. Oh, I have to shell out $400. Yeah. You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I figure out what's going on with the FDA site. I need to pay money to the process authority. It's like, yeah, that's it. Yes, you do, you know.
And that FDA website navigation is going to take you 4 days on its own.
If you're lucky.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, I fucking hate my label company. Anyway, the person I've been dealing with since day one quit or moved on, I should say, and think they're going to lose my business.
Well, if you need somebody, let me know. Our guy's great.
I'm not dealing with, I want to be able to physically talk to people, man. I'm not doing online shit. Like, I legit pay the same amount that you do for labels.
I tried to go local and it didn't work. And I'll say it. I mean, I don't know how much of this you want left on here, but Blue Label is who we use out of Pennsylvania, and they've been fantastic.
What's the shipping like, dude? Like, I order fucking 50,000 labels at a time. That's so much money in shipping.
I think it's about a little over 100 for shipping that much, which, you know, it's a little steep, but it ends up being worth it because their prices are good and they do a great job. They catch things that I might have missed, things like that. Their color correction is amazing. I just put an order with them. Oh, actually, I got to okay it, but I just put an order with them today. They're fantastic.
Well, I'm still so tiny that I was getting, like, sending out and having other people print my labels, but again, shipping was awful. It would take so long to get labels back, and so I finally just bought my own label printer. Which, again, because I'm so small, you know, I'm not printing 50,000 labels. I'm printing 100. You know,
well,
so now
like,
I have my own printer.
Spike, for instance, has 40 queues or 40 SKUs. You know, I'll have here, like, whenever I get these labels, I'll have 18 SKUs. So it's not that, you know, I'm getting 50,000 of one label. I got multiple things going on.
I have like 15, 16 different hot sauces.
Oh, do you?
Products, and so when I was sending out, like, oh, I only need 150 of this.
Oh, you know, I got you.
It's expensive to outsource that, where I can print on my label printer at home and the quality isn't the same, but it's instant and it's right next to me.
And you're not forced into buying 50,000 labels to have them sit around.
Exactly.
That is an issue we've had.
And there's certain things that update. So in North Carolina, our ag department encourages us to, it's called the Got to Be NC, like, little logo on our bottles, basically like, yay, North Carolina agriculture, North Carolina products. But they've changed their design like 3 times in the past 2 years. And so they're always like, well, we really want you to use our updated, you know, version. It's like, well, I still have my, you know, labels I had printed before. I've got like 200 more with your old ones, so they're going to get used until they're out, because I can't afford to, you know, keep updating with you guys. But when I print a new label, I update their thing. But
so unknowingly, I recently put my last round of labels. I put a tablespoon on the nutrition panel for serving size, later to find out that you're not allowed to do that for hot sauce. It has to be a teaspoon, which makes absolutely no sense to me, but whatever. Hence the reason. We've burned through a bunch of those labels, not completely, but I would like to get back to the one teaspoon serving size. Makes no sense.
I'm a pain. My wife, I mean, if you guys can't tell, I'm a pain when it comes to labels. I will decide, oh, this needs to change. And we'll have 2,000, 3,000 labels. And I'm like, I'll change them. And I just account for that in our cost. 1/3 of our cost is labels I've thrown out, because I've come to realize that the sales of a sauce completely hang on the label in a store, where I'm not able to sample it on a regular basis and people are walking by it and there's 1,000 other things. I need somebody to stop and see ours. And so if there's one little thing in there, sometimes it's this used to be yellow, the behind Irish spikes. And as soon as I changed it to white, it made a huge difference. It pops and people notice it more. Things like that, as I've honed them over the years, I'll get rid of a few thousand labels or put them as backups in case we run out, and just count that extra amount as cost.
Just use them for the labels on the box, dude.
I do that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Do you have any other questions for? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, you didn't answer her first question, dude.
Oh, that's right. Oh, what was the question again? Sorry. I'm a vet ADHD.
What drives you crazy in the hot sauce industry?
Yeah.
You know, I think I talked about it a little bit earlier, but that kind of over macho, everything's a challenge, kind of that bullshit. It's just not my thing. You know, I don't care. To me, making your food a challenge is the exact opposite of what I want to do. And it would be fine if it was a portion of the hot sauce industry, but it's the majority of it these days. Find myself constantly having to fight against that, because it excludes the majority of the population who just want to eat a nice hot sauce and don't realize that there are a lot of nice hot sauces out there, because everybody's always like, yeah, hot sauce. You know, it's like when somebody first goes vegan and they want everybody to be vegan, that sort of thing. You know? Everybody right now in the hot sauce industry wants everybody to eat the hottest thing, and 13 million Scoville, blah blah blah, and it's like, no, man,
it's not even 13 million. It's made with 13 million Scoville, whatever capsaicin crystals. Like she was talking about earlier with the whole Ass Blaster 9000 and the label so hot, blah blah blah. Like that's another thing that kind of irritates me, like people who use extracts and say their sauce or label it to make it seem like their sauce is this hot, and then people eat it, it's not that hot. It's eventually gonna get those people in trouble when they eat actual hot shit.
I was really impressed. So I watched the Bobby Flay episode. Yeah, of course. I mean, he influenced our biggest sauce, the unicorn blood. Was influenced by some of his cooking. And what I liked about it was that he didn't seem to like all that heat. He went through and he would talk about the flavors, and he'd go, oh. I mean, and he didn't feel like the need to take big old giant bites and eat the whole thing. I mean, it was the exact opposite of most of the interviews that you see on there. And I thought it was fantastic to see him just not buy into the whole thing and still enjoy the ride. And he was very polite and he handled it very well. I think it was my all-time favorite episode, because I thought the way he handled it was really good. I understand the show, and I think Sean Evans does a great job of interviewing. Just fucking great. And I like that the Hot Wings breaks down their media training so that they are losing it by the end. But overall, what it does for our industry, I'm not real happy with.
My biggest pet peeve with Hot Ones is that they'll have them try, 4, 5, 6 legitimate sauces, and then they bring out Da Bomb, which is just pain, and then they go back to regular sauces, and you're like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, I guess it's to get them, like you said, get rid of the media training, because it really it's instant pain. But that's, to me, it's just dumb. Like, it's and to add, like, I was looking into hey, if they actually wanted to use one of my sauces for their monthly box or whatever, they don't accept any sauces with extracts for their box. So
I told you.
So they're going to use this awful to bomb thing, and then for the stuff they're actually selling, they don't accept any sauce extract. It's like, well, I don't know. I feel like you could still get a good burn out of people with all natural sauces, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, and we use xanthan gum. They don't accept xanthan gum either, and I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. They don't accept the extracts, but Da Bomb has extracts in it. As a matter of fact,
so when you get the set or you get the subscription box that has Da Bomb, they don't send the extract sauce. They have Da Bomb Evolution, which comes in a 5-ounce bottle, and there's no extract.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
They're not getting the show. That's really interesting.
The thing that I think is really strange is the celebrities who go on there who have 0 heat tolerance, and it's like, did your publicist sign you up for this and you had no idea what was happening? Like, how in the world would you get yourself booked on this show if you can't eat anything spicy? So,
I mean, I have no doubt that they water those down too.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah, for like what wasn't Taylor Swift on there at one point or something? I mean, come on.
I know DJ Khalid, like after 3 sauces, he was out, but.
Oh yeah, that was early on.
No, it wasn't season. I don't know. Someone quit on our season.
Oh, did they?
Oh yeah, some rapper didn't make it.
Yeah, no, DJ Khalid was really early, and he did not do himself any favors on that. He was not happy.
Yes.
Awesome.
So the Bomb Evolution is what people get in the 10-pack when they order it. And it's red hot chili peppers, water, vinegar, salt, spices, minced garlic, cane sugar, garlic powder, olive oil, onion powder, lemon juice, cilantro, and mint.
Got it. So because Heatonist sponsors the show, but they are not the show. So that's why they have Da Bomb Beyond Insanity on the show, but not with.
Well, no, they're partnered with the people who do Hot Ones, and what their job is to sell all the Hot One sauces. Yeah,
but they don't have Da Bomb Insanity in their packs because they don't do extracts. But Da Bomb Insanity has extracts.
It's nothing but extract. I'm pretty sure, like habanero extract and some vinegar and some spices that you can't taste.
There's some orange juice in there.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never had it. I have no desire.
It's an awful sauce. Have you had it?
No. God, no.
Yeah, I had it once. It was just awful.
Was it the Beyond Insanity?
Yeah. It was really, really fucking hot. I mean, it made me... I've had... I had the very first run of Last Dab. I've had a lot of really hot sauces. And that was, just much hotter than the other ones. It was ridiculous.
Okay, so here we go. The Bomb Beyond Insanity is habaneros. I assume that's some sort of habanero mash because there's habanero and salt. And then you got chipotle puree, water, orange juice concentrate, natural pepper flavoring. No idea what that is. Tomato paste, potassium sorbate, and sodium benzoate.
Well, and I know that's interesting because it said extracts on mine, and when Bobby Flay read it on there, he read extract on because he read the ingredients. I was impressed because a lot of people don't do that. He just called it out. It was awesome in the nicest way possible too. So I think this was great, Julie. It's been really nice to. Yeah.
Glad you're not white girl hungover.
No.
That was the best. That made my day yesterday.
Yeah, it really did. I was kind of grumpy because I woke up from a nap to a message about like, I'm an idiot. We're not going to do it today. And I'm like, fuck, I got this shit to do tomorrow, so I can't do it tomorrow. And then you sent me my husband got me white girl drunk, and that just fucking made my day right there.
I got the most jubilant email or a message from Zac after that, and it was great. I think we have a little delay because I start to talk and then I see you talking. I feel really bad, so I apologize, both of you, if I talked over you. I think we've just got some delays in there.
I think I'm just kind of mostly used to it at this point. I have to force my way in to get my words in, but it's fine.
It's that showman thing, and also I am very ADHD, and if I don't often say things right away, they slip my mind, and so sometimes I just blurt.
But I have the same problem, so it's like, if I don't say it, I will 1000% forget about it until later on in the episode, and then I'll start spitting some random shit. This will make no sense at time.
Which I love, by the way. Right in the middle of something, you'll go off in another direction, and it's awesome to me. I really love that. So, but I do get it. It's just one of those things.
So,
Well,
Julie,
go ahead.
this is up until now. This is how I've recorded episodes because I hate the way my teeth look. So today, since I'm getting them ripped out, I figured I'll not hide behind my microphone. So feel special.
You get the before of the before and after, and I'm really excited about this. So,
Well, I wish you went with all of that, because I can't even imagine going through all of that at one time. But so I hope it comes out well. And
Yeah, it should be fine. So when I was 16, I had facial reconstructive surgery, and I got like 4 metal plates and 32 screws in my face. This will be nothing. They legit like cut my gum, peeled my face back, broke my jaw, stuck it back in my head, straightened out my nose. Yeah, pulling some teeth ain't gonna bother me.
Wow. Well, still, I wish you the best of luck and
thank you.
quick recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Julie. I hope you have a wonderful day. And you know what? This has been a great way to start the week.
Yeah. This was a fun conversation, guys.
Thanks for being a guest.
Take care now.
Flavor Balance Heat, the podcast for hot sauce lovers and makers, was brought to you by Irish Spike's Unique Hot Sauces, High Desert Sauce Co., and Vandal Pepper Sauces. This is a Spike Mine Media production.